Hello, this video is on replacing a brake master cylinder on a old 60s Mercury or Ford. This happens to be a 1963 Mercury Monterey. And what's happening is brake pedal keeps going to the floor because the reservoir here will not hold brake fluid. It leaks out, and I believe it's leaking out from the brake booster. Not sure if the brake booster is bad at this point. I think it is the cylinder. So anyway, we're going to change that first because that is less expensive to replace. So to get it off, I've got my 3/8 wrench on. This is a line wrench. Now if you use another wrench, I think it was a 10mm that I was trying to use, and you can see how I was stripping it. So to avoid that, I have this and I'm going to use it, and I've already gotten it off before, so it's not that difficult. The first time I did have to get this off, I had to use some I use PB Blaster, just some lubricant, but yeah, it's pretty easy to come off now. Okay, next we're going to use, what is it, a 9/16 wrench. There are two nuts here that have to come off from the booster here, where the cylinder is connected to the booster. So here's the wires that go to this little sensor here. We'll take those off later. Let's go ahead and put the wrench on, loosen these two. This one has a little clip here for hanging or holding the wires in place, or out of the way, I guess I should say. So yeah, we got this one loose. Go ahead and go with this one. I've actually got these loosened before because what I tried to do was clean this master cylinder before, and in hopes that that would work, but that wasn't successful, so it looks like I'm going to have to replace it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take these two off, and then I'll get right back. So I got this at O'Reilly. They had a rebuilt master cylinder, like $26, cheapest one that I could find. Seems to match up pretty good with the old one here. I'll have to put this on the new one, as well as the fitting here. But let me show you the brand here. It's Brake Best. We've got instructions for bench bleeding here. Additional parts here. We've got these two plugs for bench bleeding. I only need one here because we only have one line. I've got a plastic cap here. It says to use .3 brake fluid. So looks like it'll work okay. The casting is not nearly as good. Like, look at that right there. It's not nearly as good as the old one here. I may use the old cap here instead of this plastic. But anyway, I'll be bench bleeding this. To do so, I've got a vise. I'll be mounting it here on the flange, one of these flanges, if I can get away with that. So here's how I'm set up here to bleed the cylinder. I should say, I've never done this before. This is not a how-to video to do this. I'm just following the instructions to the best of my ability. I'm not a certified mechanic or any of that stuff, so just a layman here. So what I've done so far is I've put the sensor in here, tighten that tight. Here's where the brake line is going to go in right here at the car. So they provided these plastic plugs here I've got one handy here. They provided two, but I only need one here. And so I tried to find the best one that's going to fit. Got it right here. All right, so I needed some kind of plunger, like I think I explained, maybe a Phillips head screwdriver, but you really don't use a Phillips head because you don't want to damage the inside of the bore. So I've used a blunt attachment here on my wrench. It fits good. Fits really perfect. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to go ahead and get the DOT 3 brake fluid, brand new. Okay, tighten bleeder plugs into ports. Support the master cylinder on a workbench in a level position. Never clamp onto the body of the master cylinder. Let's see, fill reservoirs or reservoir halfway or until reservoir ports are covered. Actually, I've already done that, and I've put my plug in there. Install reservoir cap. I think I'm going to leave that off so we can kind of see the action, the bubble action. But it says to install it, and I may do that later so that it doesn't spray everywhere. Let's see. Install reservoir cap so brake fluid does not spray from reservoir during bleeding process. Using a blunt tool or dowel, slowly press in and release the master cylinder piston using short strokes, 3/4 to an inch. Never stroke piston more than an inch. Repeat this step until resistance to piston movement is firm and less than 1/8 of an inch. Okay, here we go. Okay, no more bubbles. You can see it's just squirting up, and I can barely push it in. I can't push it in more than 1/8 of an inch at this point. Okay, so now I'm going to take it to the car. I'm going to go ahead and put the cap on. Go ahead and put some more brake fluid in it here. And then all I'll be doing is taking off the plug and putting on the line, but first I'm going to have to put on that fitting. So I'll need to do that as fast as I can so that no more air gets in there. But that's my understanding of how to do this. I'm going to put the cap on and we'll go out and put this on the car. So here's an update. It's about a week later. The last video you saw after bleeding the master cylinder here, bench bleeding it, I brought it out to the car here and put it on, no problem. It was easy to put on and take off. It's just two bolts, two mounting bolts. There's two lock washers underneath. And it has a little bracket here, which is about corroded here, to hold the wire that connects up here, the two wires. So very simple. Now the whole reason I was replacing it was because it was leaking brake fluid, and what was happening is I would put brake fluid in here, walk away, in about a day or so could come back and it would be completely empty. It was going back into the booster here and it was leaking out the seam here, but down here doesn't look like it went through the diaphragm part back here. I can't tell for sure yet. Well, actually I'm pretty sure that it's not, because the old one that I had on here, every time I would put it in there, it was leaking out in a day's time. It was just leaking out down there. So I think we're pretty good, because this one is actually holding fluid and it's been a week, and that's about how much I had after bench bleeding it. So it looks like it's just a master cylinder here. The only problem is my brake line is not going to fit in this master cylinder. Now this is supposed to be the exact fit for the old master cylinder. Everything has worked out great. The only problem is the brake line is not going to fit into the inlet here. So once I realized that, I took it to the auto parts store and took my fitting in there because I wanted to find out what size fitting it was. Took the old one with me. As you can see, this fits perfectly in the old one. I don't know if I'll be able to. See, there it goes in there very nicely. And then the other end, the female part here, you know, goes into the brake line goes into it, and can't, yeah, like that right there. So it's supposed to go in just like that. Put this in first and put your brake line in after. This hole is too big, and we can't figure out what size it is. That's kind of why I'm stuck here. It looks like I'm going to have to go to another master cylinder. After all, this was a manufactured like $26 deal here. Maybe I need to go with another brand. Upgrade to, I think they're like 70, 80 bucks. But the thing I want to point out here, the takeaway really for this is, don't put it on until you make sure that it's going to fit the brake line. That was my mistake. Let me show you how bad, how far off it is. I'll take the plug out here. Okay, so you can see the threads there. Look at that crap. Just swallows it up. So until I can figure that out, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find a fitting to do that, I'm grounded here as far as working on this thing. Look at this. So I'm going to have to probably get another brake, master brake cylinder. And again, make sure that when it does come in, make sure that the fitting is going to fit in the inlet there. So go ahead and put my plug back in. I guess that's going to be it for this video because I can't go any farther here on this. And it's leaking out a little bit here, so I'm going to put the plug back in. So I've got an update on the fitting here on the master cylinder. This master cylinder, even though it doesn't state in the specifications on the listing, even when the auto parts people pull it up, what we found out through just trial and error really was that it is a 7/16. So it's a 7/16 24, and you'll need as many threads as you can get. So the 24, I'm guessing, is the thread count. And then, you know, this is a female here, so my 3/8 goes into that just fine. Okay, so it went in really easy. I've tightened it all the way down, just about. I don't know if you can see, but there's just a few threads left. So yeah, you'll need as many threads as possible. This one right here, not so many. But no leaking here. Now I haven't pumped the brakes, so I don't expect them, you know, continue to leak. If they do, I'll continue. I've got a little more tightening I can do here, so we should be good. So I just wanted to point that out. That's the part number right there, BLF22B. Whether it was the exact fit or not, I don't know what the original setup was, other than what I had when I started working on it. So there's a possibility that it could have been a replaced master cylinder. So thank you for watching the video. Again, this is a brake master cylinder, and it's for the old Ford or old Mercury, in this case the Monterey here. So hope it's been helpful. Until next time, have a great day. Take care.